Did you ever actually have like where you a situation where you actually watched a video and you actually immediately wanted to respond to the video, but you really did not know what to say or where to begin with because you just had so much to say. It's just kind of like, you just have to kind of figure out what to do, how to craft what you want to say, and just come out and say it. Well, that's pretty much, how I'm actually feeling about a video that I'm actually wanting to respond to by an individual who, here on YouTube. Excuse me. And, the information that was given in the video was actually very, it was very, very, I guess, lengthy and thorough, I guess. It explained a lot. And for the most part, I actually felt the need to actually wanted to respond to him. And I think and I guess I'll go ahead and let you know pretty much what the video was. I was actually going through YouTube, and when you're going through YouTube, excuse me, there is like, you have like videos in your feed where it actually gives suggestions and everything based on the type of stuff that you may have watched in the past, and it offers up new things that may interest you, and I really don't pay much attention to those because usually when I go on YouTube, I'm like, I already have my one track mind on what I want to do and what I want to see. But again, there was this video that came up in my newsfeed, and I figured I would be like, you know what, let me see what this is about because the title, sound quite interesting. And when I clicked on the video, it's not really, I guess it's not really, I guess, all of that, I guess, it would seem like it would be one of the main things, like any other video would have where, they're talking about issues, regarding women, black women, but for the most part, the title, in a sense, it kind of intrigued me. So for the most part, I actually clicked on the video and, like I said, I was like, well, maybe it's another one of these videos where, they are talking about black women, all the problems that are faced in the world, that sort of thing, all the issues that black men actually have to deal with, with women, black women, and it's called what, Bum Thugs and the Women Who Love Them. And I think his name is Black Ram something or other. I don't have his information in front of me, but I actually sent him a message, for the most part, telling him that I actually wanted to I was going to respond with a video. But I didn't actually want to do the video until I actually sat down and gathered my thoughts because, again, I actually had so much to say that, I didn't know where to begin. So I actually, like to, in some cases, do like a diagram of how I actually wanted to attack, this particular, well, not attack, but actually how I actually wanted to respond to the video. Because, again, in the video, he actually gives a lot of information that some folks will actually deem as useful, and then other people will actually look at it and say, he's very anti-woman, to each his own. I mean, like I say, I'm not going to actually give my personal assessment. It's just the fact that I actually found the video, very interesting, and like I say, it can be a good or bad thing depending on how you want to view it. So I actually felt the need to actually do a response video to him. Again, just to put on record, I rarely do response videos. I mean, it's just something that I really don't do or feel the need to do. So anytime I actually do a response video, I actually have to be feeling kind of some sort of a way about something, where it actually prompts me to deliver some sort of a response. In my response, when I actually, got through finishing looking at his video, I actually wanted to let him know that, for the most part, my assessment of pretty much of what I took away from the video. And of course, and I wanted to give it to him in my own words, in my own logic, a way of thinking. But I actually wanted to kind of touch on to a part of the video that I don't think he really spoke a lot on regarding the decisions that most professional black women make when, excuse me, when they are choosing to date men or even marry some men. And the angle that I actually wanted to attack the video or actually respond with is from the self-esteem standpoint. Because again, in the video, I actually brought attention to the fact that actually plays a major role in their decision making. Because again, you always see women, not all women, but you see just generally black women, and I'm not talking about other races. This is just particularly the black experience. Okay. But you typically see them for the most part going from man to man, seeking some sort of an affection because again of how they feel about themselves personally, and that's pretty much the angle that I actually wanted I guess to interject in with his argument on his video. But even aside from that, I actually in this video wanted to kind of, I guess, review and maybe go over a couple of things for the most part that he may have expound on or that he may have talked about in his video. And I actually again wanted to kind of bring in the self-esteem or the self-esteem component at the in later parts of this video here, just to kind of give my particular contribution to what he was saying. But for the most part, to kick this video off, there's something to actually be said about black love. When you actually have a black man and a black woman actually getting along and getting together, there is something that is just so powerful about it. It's like one of those things where, it's like when two unions join together, it's an unstoppable force. Even though there may be things that may be in place to try to weaken the union, as we would say, of that particular, concept, it's just one of those things that you would think that would not actually be able to have a place in it, because the black man and the black woman have so much love and so much respect for each other that they would not even allow anything to come into the picture to cause them to doubt one's devotion to one another. But in this day and time, we actually see that there are many different things that will come into the picture that will cause a discord, if you will, amongst how black men and black women view each other. For the most part, it's like the value of that relationship has gone down. I mean, back in the early, I would say maybe late 60s, early 70s or what have you, and I've actually alluded to this fact when I actually did videos in the past regarding the subject. You would actually have it where the black family, the black man and the black woman actually stuck together because that's all that they had. They had to rely on each other, to deal with issues regarding life, with it being post-slavery and everything. Even though blacks are, as they would say, free, they still dealt with persecutions and everything that was handed to them by white society. So for the most part, the last thing that you would actually want to do is cause further burdens, on the relationship, even though, the black people were actually facing it from society. But again, we have concepts and everything that have been in place, systems that have been set in place, if you will, that has been placed there. Some would say, intentionally, some would say, unknowingly, depending on who you ask. There are many different people that have many different says about this, but there's different things that have been placed inside the relationship, the black relationship, that has caused, a weakening, if you will. And for the most part, a lot of people really, to this day and time, some of them will readily acknowledge it. Some of them won't. But like I said, it's something to have to be said about it, because the attitudes and everything have shifted dramatically. And I believe the shift, in my opinion, actually started, I would say in the late 70s, up, and onward, in that particular type of thinking. There are systems that are now in place that will, again, run the black man out of the house, keep him out of the house, and actually put it where the woman is actually going to be placed in charge of everything, whether it be from rearing children, whether it be from, helping them find jobs, where it be to mentoring them, on a level that they feel that is acceptable. And the thing about it is that you have a lot of people that, or men, I would say, that are willing to argue against the fact that, that's a concept that is actually damaging our young men, as it was so elegantly pointed out in the video that I watched, and that I'm doing my response to. It's actually changing the concept of what it means to actually be a man, because you have a lot of women these days that are actually being placed in that particular role, as far as the leadership role, where they are the ones that are actually making decisions and actually raising these young men, as they say, to be boys, which, as I alluded in another video, that in most cases, you can't do that. A woman cannot raise a boy to be a man, and I will always stick by that. But I don't actually want to make this video to be, quote-unquote, anti-woman, as though, it may seem that's the tone that I'm going, or the impression that I'm wanting to give. That's not actually where I want, or the area on, or the flavor, if you will, that I want to give this video, because again, there is so many things, that that can be said about this particular issue that black men are facing in this day and time, in their observations about black women. To you can make a lot of videos, you can make video after video till until Jesus comes back, because there's just so many things that can be said about this particular subject. But I'm going to continue to go on, and I don't want to keep rambling on about this, but yeah, let's just go ahead and go on with this. As I was growing up, it's been lots of times where I would be in school, or even visiting different offices, even at different workplaces and stuff, while working, where I would actually see this particular picture hanging on the walls, especially in most females' offices and stuff like that, and I, for the longest time, and believe it or not, I never really knew what this particular symbol stood for. And I know that's kind of crazy now, even though, I've actually matured and I've actually researched this, and, because the thing about it is that if I don't understand something, I'm not going to stop until I actually get some sort of understanding, whether I have to crack open a book and read, do a little bit of, searching and comparison and contrasting. Whatever I have to do, I won't rest until I find something that satisfies my curiosity. And for the most part, I would see this, and for those who are, people that were born in the 70s, we know pretty much that we've seen this pretty much all over the place. But again, I never knew what it was until, I actually had to come into a new way of looking at things and really see things for what they are. This particular one actually, again, symbol actually stood for power. And the thing about it is that that's okay. I'm fine with that. Like I say, you want to be powerful. You don't want to be a weak individual. I get that. But the issue is that this particular symbol actually only stands for power from one aspect. And the thing about it is that black men have been struggling with this particular concept for quite some time. And it's like almost to the point where we're almost, and I hate to say this, we're fighting a losing battle. Because, it's like more power now is given to people who really, and I may get in trouble for saying this, but really who does not really know how to put things in their proper place. I'm not saying all black women are that way, because they're the main ones that gravitate towards this particular concept of what this picture stands for than any other race. But the issue is that there's nothing wrong with actually being able to, be looked at as actually having some sort of power. But when you actually allow this concept to go out of, or think about it where it causes you to act in ways that is unbecoming of a woman, then that's when you actually have a problem. At least that's the way I look at it. Feminism, which of course we all know what this picture stands for, is the fact that, it gives a false impression of entitlement. And that's what I'll actually go ahead and I'll put that on record, okay? This feminism in itself, if you want to actually give it a definition, if you want to give it a voice or whatever you want to call it, it's where you're given a false impression of who you are, what you stand for, what your place is in this world. Like I say, I'm old school. Like I say, I'm not old, but like I say, I'm not that young either. I'm mature. I have some common sense and I can think. But the issue is that, this entitlement that that feminism have given to black women, and I'm not talking about other women, I'm going to keep it again in the scope of the black experience, is making them where they think they are untouchable. And the thing about it is that it actually gotten to the point where it affects every aspect of their life. Like I say, from childhood on upward to where they have families of their own and they're teaching their offspring on what it's like or what they need to do as far as, their experiences and their observations of the world. Now, when we actually flip this over into, the dating practices, and of course that's where, for the most part, BlackRam was actually coming from. And like I say, and I can appreciate that because a lot of what he said, I agree with for the most part. Like I say, it's the fact that, the women of today actually want to have power over the black man. Not all of them, but just generally speaking, because of what feminism has caused them to become. Like I say again, I'm just only kind of giving this from my aspect and my point of view. So like I say, if you don't really understand it or disagree with it, that's fine. But please just hear me out if you choose to, because I'm not going to beg anybody for anything. But the issue is that, with feminism and black women and dating and everything, the only thing that we can actually see so far and can be actually dead on about this particular thing is that only thing that it's actually doing for black women is causing them to be alone. That's the only thing that I can actually say at this point. Like I said, that's why you have a lot of men now who actually choose to be single because of this concept called feminism. And black women don't understand. They are the main victims of this, and they are suffering the consequences the worst because of what this concept is and what it's actually doing for them. I mean, they are quick to say, and I've been in conversations with women, where they are saying that they're strong, black, and independent. And the next thing you know, I may have had some genuine interest in wanting to get to know them, but after they say that, it's like the conversation for me is shot because that is a quick turnoff for me. I mean, just me speaking personally. Anytime somebody actually have to bring up the fact that they're strong, black, and independent, I know you're strong because you can hold yourself in a conversation. I can see that you're black. I mean, come on, I'm not blind. And like I say, you don't have to go up there telling me that you're independent as if, you want to put some sort of twang with it to somehow intimidate me. I'm not intimidated by that. If anything, I'm turned off by it. Because a man, when he approaches a woman and wants to get in a relationship with a woman, he's not interested in all of this stuff, the materialism about the money and the cars and all that other type of stuff. That's the picture that the black woman is painting. And I'm not interested in that painting. All I want is you. All I want to know is you. I'm not interested in what your compliments are. They're good to know, but what's the purpose? What is your reason for saying that? Are you trying to make yourself, to overinflate your self-worth? But when it actually comes to dating, this concept of feminism has caused these women to go out there, and as it was stated in the video, they go out there and choose these thugs, and people who they already know that they can somehow control. And like I say, a lot of people may not understand that. Most black professional women are definitely they're going to disagree with this if they happen to listen to the video. But that's just the way that it is. We see it every day, day after day. Like I say, if you don't see it in your neighborhoods, in your communities, you don't definitely see it on television, where you have it where, you have professional black women, and it's like they are raising up another child. It's like they are having to, and the thing about it is that the men are okay with it. Like I said, and those are the type of men that women, most good, logical thinking women would run away from. No woman, I would think, would want to sit there and actually, as they say, have to raise up another child. You're a grown man. Go out there and try to find a job if you want to spend money. But like I say, for the most part, a lot of them, and I'm not going to sit there and say, and harp on them all the way, because sometimes, in most cases, they're being smart about it. You got some men that are okay with actually women treating them like dirt, like they're the mother. As long as they're getting that cash, they're okay with it. But the thing about it, I believe that they will only sit there and endure this only for so long. Because the way that it is, the more that a woman dishes out money, the more that she has to drive her car to take him to places and stuff like that, it's okay for now. But see, the issue is that other stuff has to come behind that. The constant down talking, the constant, why are you doing this? When are you going to be a man and this, that, and the other? The man all of this information is coming into his brain. He's listening to this. And at some point, it's going to get to the point where he may say, you know what, enough is enough, and then the real feelings are going to come out of what he really thinks about her. How he's been using her. How she's been stupid enough to take her hard-earned money to support him. And the thing about it is that when it all boils down, she's the one that's left with eggs on her face. That's just the way that I am, the way I see it. Because again, not all men that are in relationships like this are stupid. A lot of them are being so strategic. They figure that, I don't want a job right now. I'm going to lay low. I'm going to find me somebody that's professional and they're going to take care of me. This is what they may tell their buddies. And the thing about it is that women like that thug appeal. And the reason why they like that thug appeal is, for the most part, thugs got a skill that smart men, as they would say, nerds, don't have. And you know what that skill is? Communication. They know how to go up there and lay down that language that's going to appeal to these professional women, because they already know deep down that these professional women, even though they want to profess this professional image in person, they are freaks in the bedroom. Sorry. That's just the way that it is. And because they know how to deal with that, and they've mastered the art of communicating on that level to pique that lady's interest, that's why you see a lot of them with high class women. And that's why you see a lot of the quote unquote nerds that are left out there saying, okay, well, I got all the education. Why aren't women approaching me? Because you haven't learned the language of what it's taken to draw these women in. And it's all about that thug appeal, whether it be, how they sag their pants. My God, help us. And how they sit up there and actually, just lay on that swag, as they say. This is a good video. And since they know the art of doing it and how to manipulate it and how to get it to where the woman is going to get some interest, that's how they're able to pull them in, just like that, no questions asked. So he goes out there and he accomplishes what he is, and see what she thinks she's doing. She's figuring that, she's sleeping with him and getting it on and stuff like that. But the thing about it is that, in my opinion, he's actually benefiting from it more than she is. And even though the woman is smart, she does not really know that she's actually being played. All because of the fact that, she figures that, I got all this money, I can go and exert power over somebody. But in the end, I think in a sense that it's an equal thing. In a sense, he's actually having power over her in a sense. And then again, on the second part, she has power over him because of the money factor. So like I say, most of these men, they'll sit there, she can talk down to me or whatever. That doesn't bother me. Like I say, I know what my agenda is. I'm popping my collar. But the thing about it, she feels that she got power over him. In a sense, she may, depending on the personality of the person, but then again, she may not, because he may, up and just say, you know what, to hell with this. I've already gotten all of that one out of it, and say deuces, So it's really, really, really good. I mean, like I say, the way this whole thing actually plays out. So, like I say, I'm going to keep this thing going because it's very important to understand the psychology of what's going on in here. And the thing about it is that you have a lot of people that may have written books about this, on how women think and what they're looking for in the opposite sex and everything like that. And the sad part about it is that, and I'm not anti-woman. I just love women. I'm not anti-woman. But I have no problem telling you what I can see out in society. But the issue is in most cases, they can be the most illogical thinking people. And not all of them, but most of them, they don't think logically. All of this power has gone to their head, so it's causing them to say, okay, well, since I've came from being on the bottom to the top, I got all this power now, so they think, now is, I can go and do whatever I want. But the thing about it is that if you're not using any common sense with your power that you think you have, then guess what? You're just dumb and just rating, and people are going to use you, especially these men that don't really have much going for themselves anyway, don't have any self-respect for themselves anyway. What makes you think that they're going to have respect for you as a professional black woman? I mean, come on, let's keep it real. But anyway, I digress. I want to actually move on to another area of my particular response to BlackRam's video. And this is where I actually wanted to kind of get a little real, if you know what I mean. Like I said, I ramble on and stuff like that. But I think now it's time to really kind of get a bit real. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to get a little comfortable here. Because the second part of this video is I want to deal with is called the self-esteem factor. And if there's anybody that's actually in need of self-esteem, or if I would say, if you want to see someone that I would say that, or the concept of self-esteem personified, would be your girl Tiffany Pollard. Like I say, this is not a video to bash Tiffany Pollard or anything like that. I mean, pretty much everybody know who she is. I mean, if you don't know who she is, for the most part, you are living under a rock. I believe America actually began to know Tiffany Pollard, aka New York, when she actually interviewed for and actually won a spot on the reality TV show I Love Flavor Flav or something like that. Some ridiculous programming. And like I say, to me, I never seen anything like this because, in my opinion, it was the first of its kind where you actually have a bunch of women that were competing for the affection of one man. And the sad part about it, this man is not, and I'm not, into fellas or whatever, but the thing about it is that the man is nowhere nearly attractive, or what you would call attractive, I guess. That's just my personal opinion, but like I say, to each his own. But nonetheless, the programming actually dealt with, surrounding issues where, women would actually do all that they would, they can to actually see if Flavor Flav would actually choose them to be a suitable mate for him once the competition was over. I mean, like I said, it dealt with a lot of issues and a lot of freaky things that, he would allow these women to do. And see, for the most part, this is where I actually really began to really pay attention to the behavior and the thinking pattern of, black women. I understand that his show actually had women of different nationalities and everything on here, but my focus is pretty much on, black women. And again, I'm going to still keep that concept going. But for the most part, New York was actually able to portray herself inside the house with the other women as one person that no one will actually want to mess with or actually want to railroad, because she will constantly actually remind everybody in the house that I'm New York, I'm in the house now. All of you gonna have to bow down to me. You all got a competition on your hands. All of this other type of ridiculous stuff. I mean, like I say, the whole dynamics of this particular programming is very, disturbing to me from the black woman standpoint, because the thing about it is that the whole premise of the programming, for the most part, is nothing more than exposing the dysfunctions of women and their thinking pattern, and what they are actually willing to do in order to be famous, in order to be loved by someone who is quote unquote famous, and the fact about it is that, they would, be placed in situations where all the world would see. I understand that they edit the videos before they actually make them public, but it's just the fact that, that they would actually put themselves on display like that to be seen and treated as a piece of meat. And for the most part, they're okay with it. And again, New York had no problem with it. I mean, like I say, she pretty much wore it as a badge of honor. But the sad part about it, though, is that even in the end of the first season of I Love Flavor Flav, he did not pick her. Like I said, for the most part. So, you would think that all of that work that her, because I want to center this on her, that, that she would learn to appreciate her beauty and actually know that, her sexuality and everything is not what makes her a woman. Like I say, and the thing about it is that most women these days, they don't look at themselves as capable, deserving human beings. They only look at themselves as a piece of meat because, again, they chase the men that view them that way. They're not looking for classy people that will actually compliment them. They're looking for the thug types. They're looking for all of these type of people who will actually degrade them and humiliate them. But for some reason, they enjoy it. That's why you see most of the professional women dating these type of people. I don't understand. The logic is backwards to me. But anyway, I digress. At the end of the first season of this particular programming, he did not choose her. He chose some other black girl. Well, she's mixed or whatever. But anyway. Now, after that, I guess, we ran into another where they actually had started casting the second season of the Flavor of Love. Not Flavor of Love, but I Love Flavor Flav. Sorry. And for the most part, he brought her in near the end of the particular programming, where it was a few episodes during the where they were getting ready to I guess do their season finale or whatever, but he brought her in towards the end of that particular season, and for the most part, a lot of the girls wouldn't, having it. They were very upset about it. Like I say, rightfully so. She should have been there from the beginning to work, and put in her dues, if you will, just like everybody else. But I believe that he felt sorry for her, and like I say, and saw that she was nothing more than a little girl in a woman's body where she didn't think highly of herself. So guess what? They actually brought her back, for her to compete with the other remaining ladies that was in the house. See, for the most part, they don't understand here that Hollywood society is actually sending out some strong signals here when you're actually talking about, the self-esteem issues when it comes to, dealing with black women. See, black women have a long time suffered from the effects and the residuals of slavery, to the fact where it caused them to actually go out there and behave in ways that is really, unbecoming of a woman. Now, I believe that the VH1 execs, for the most part, felt sorry for this particular girl. I mean, you can tell she wanted to be famous. I mean, she wanted to actually make a name for herself so much to, she would come up there and behave in ways. And like I say, and it didn't even help her again on the second season of the Flavor Love for I Love Flavor Flav, because again, he ended up dumping her again for some girl named Delicious, and we pretty much know how her career ended. I mean, she did not end up with Flavor Flav. Like I say, she ended up, doing some other stuff. I think she ended up marrying somebody else. I know she has a child or something like that. But the fact about it is that her self-esteem was so low. I mean, and the thing about it is that, she would say things on the show that would cause Flavor Flav to kind of question, what is she really on the show for? Was she really on the show to really develop a meaningful relationship with him? Or was it one of those instances where she, wanted to kind of make a name for herself? But anyway, we already know how that story ended, because again, he ended up choosing Delicious, and like I said, we know how that particular relationship ended. So for the most part, here we go again. Society is feeling sorry for this black woman. Like I say, her self-esteem is so low, she constantly is throwing herself at these men, or at Flavor Flav, if you will, at this particular time, and she's still getting rejected. So guess what? So now her self-esteem is so low and in the dumps, in the gutter, if you will, that the VH1 execs actually wanted to do something for her. Now, I think also part of the reason that they actually wanted to give her, or actually wanted to kind of do something for her, again, is because they could not believe, and this is my personal opinion, that you would actually have a black woman get up there and actually behave in such unwomanlike ways that, we actually have to see if this is what she's really like. And that's what I believe also is a reason why they actually wanted to kind of invest in her, I guess, if you will, to kind of further see what she's willing to do, or how far she's willing to go to land herself a man. So that pretty much was, I think, in my opinion, the thought process when they actually developed her own show, her own spinoff, if you will, from the Flavor Flav franchise, or whatever the case may be, where they actually put it on there, what I Love New York, for the most part. And like I say, with her, like I say, I could readily deal with, and I don't know, it's just one of those things, I don't know, but I could deal with and kind of be willing to accept, Flavor Flav and his particular raunchiness or whatever that he did with, and how he behaved with the women, because let's face it, folks, that's how it is in society. I mean, and it's a double standard. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you can actually deal with a man actually being a dog, okay? It is what it is. But when you actually see a female actually parading around and actually doing and behaving in such whorish ways, her reputation, and I think the stigma is really negative on her behalf. Even though she may have behaved in the similar fashions as Flavor Flav, to her, because she is a woman that's supposed to be representation of black women, she really didn't wear it well, and she really didn't represent, the gender well. I mean, like I say, it was the typical format still, where, it was men that actually auditioned and actually wanted to, become contestants on her show, like I say, to win her affections or what have you, and like I say, the first season, again, didn't work out for her. So like I say, they recast it again for a second season, where they actually brought in a new cast and everything like that, and for the most part, like I say, it was, again, the same format. The only thing that actually was different in season 2 of I Love New York is the fact that her mother actually had more of an involvement in some of the men that she was actually choosing. And like I say, her mother was actually close to some of them, where she felt that, some of them were actually worthy of her daughter, and then some of them she just could not stand. I mean, it's like if she could just spit on them, she would do that, and like I say, I don't know. It was just, to me, like I say, the whole premise of the show, it's just crazy, but, it's just one of those things where it's so disturbing till you just have to watch, because you just don't know how much wretchedness or how much ratchetness it would become, you know what I mean? But anyway, as you would go on through, watching her show, I remember my earliest memories of actually tuning in each week when they would air new episodes, where, you would see her engaging in these freaky acts with these men. And like I say, this thing is, like I say, is being showed across the public airwaves, where children and all these other people across the world, well, across the United States, can see, to see how much or how far she is willing to lower her standards just so she can actually say that, someone likes her. And see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the attitude. This is the issue. What I was talking about as far as the self-esteem. You got a lot of black women that don't have high self-esteem of themselves. And what will happen with that is that they will actually be able to be manipulated and used in any way, shape, or form possible just for the sake of saying, I have a man. And that is so foul and messed up. But anyway, again, every week, I'm tuning in and seeing just how far this woman is going to go. I mean, it's like she's kissed and prodded and poked and did everything with almost every particular person or male contestant on there. Although there were a few who actually said, you know what, I don't believe in that. I believe in the old fashioned way of doing things where, they would call it courting, where it's just nothing intimate, but just getting to know each other. And New York would be offended by that, of course, because again, her agenda is to land a man, like I say. So what it is that she figured that since they weren't there for her, or at least that's how she saw it, she would eliminate them, and get it over with. But I believe that it's the fact that they were too mature for her. And the fact about it is that she was dealing with some folks who really was not all about trying to get in her pants, but actually wanted to see what she actually had, what she was working with upstairs, if you know what I mean. But according to how she portrayed herself during that entire season, she really wasn't working with much. That's just my personal opinion. Locking lips with almost everybody there, like I said, and not really caring. I mean, and like I say, and the fact that she smokes and then it's just something that just makes me physically ill just thinking about it. But again, as the season wind down, she ended up, as she thought, I guess, getting her Prince Charming, which was, I forgot what his name was, but he was the one that actually wanted to portray himself to have, I think his name, I don't know, was it Tailor Made? I think it was, I'm not sure. But he was the one that actually, I guess, romanced her. The fact about it that he actually used the fact that he had money to woo her. So here we go again, like I say, more stereotypes that are being lent over to what black women want and what they're willing to do for money and stuff like that. So like I say, even with that, as even though she thought she had her happy ending with that, it was reports that relationship didn't even last as long either, because like I said, they end up, I guess, breaking up for whatever reason. The fact about it is that, like I say, it doesn't matter what type of relationship you are in. The issue is that if you don't think highly of yourself, people are going to pick up on that. And the sad part about it is that when you call yourself wanting to get a decent man or actually be in a relationship with a decent man, like I say, the last thing that he wants to do is to sit there and play the father figure where he's constantly having to boost up your self-worth to make you feel good about yourself. Because that is something that you're supposed to come to the table with already. Like I say, yeah, having money and cars and all that other type of stuff is fine. But the issue is you want a woman that is well maintained upstairs mentally. And see, the whole premise of this show, particularly hers, is the fact that you have a dysfunctional woman who is trying to go out there and seek love. And the fact about it is that you will have some men that will play the dysfunction games with her. See, I believe that some of those men, most of those men up there, they were too smart for her. I mean, on an intellectual, educational level, emotional level, they were just too smart for her. And the thing about it is that she began to really see the ones that was really out of her level. Those would be the ones that she would eliminate right off the bat earlier in her season. And then she would actually, as a sense, keep the ones around that she figured that she can actually manipulate and control. Here we go again. So like I say, it's the same concept, like I say, but it's just, in different premise, So the thing about it is that some of them would throw a surprise for her to let her know, look at here, woman, you're not going to talk to me any kind of way. And when one of them actually told him that he's not going to take her stuff, she immediately submitted to him. The woman looked like she was really, like I say, a broke crackhead, the way that they actually had her looking up there crying behind one of, I forgot the fella's name, but it was the bald head, the dude with the bald head, who actually laid down the law to let her know that you're not dealing with, some uneducated black man. The men on her that came to audition on her show were actually some college educated men. Very highly educated. I'm pretty sure you had some of them that had MBAs, ran their own businesses, their own corporations and stuff like that. Then you had some of them that actually tried to fake the funk, and she researched and found out that they weren't really worth 2 cents and actually put them on the spot, ridiculed them, and then turned around and sent them home because of that. But you actually had some of them that actually were there to actually teach her some lessons about life, and it actually made her kind of stand up and say, you know what, they're right. Even though I can see that you're here for me. And the thing about it is that they will actually give her lessons about life, not on how she sees it, but how things are in the real world, and that she really needs to change her attitude if she is willing to seek or actually have some sort of long-term relationship with whoever it is that she chooses. Like I say, but to her, in a sense, in most cases, that was just too much or too mature for her to handle. So now that you actually have these particular individuals or this particular programming that has gone out of the way, like I say, it has opened up a whole new door now to a lot of issues now where women are actually being put on the forefront now, where they're actually coming out with their own reality TV shows where, they're showing their lifestyles, how they're dealing with their, issues in life, infidelities, money, jobs, and everything else. And like I say, now we're dealing with a whole level now of dysfunction. I mean, truly, really. I mean, if you really think about it, that's what it's all about now. We're dealing with a whole new mentality of dysfunction where you have every time you turn on now, it's like you cannot wait to see just what these women are going to do, what they're going to talk about, how they're going to act, and everything like that, to see how farther or how much lower they're going to, I guess, lower the sisterhood flag, if you will. Like I say, and you're going to continue to see more broadcasting. I mean, they've actually have a network now where they don't do nothing but talk about or actually show movies and or I guess reality TV shows that center around black women, whether it be reality TV, scripted TV, or whatever the case may be. This is what our society is becoming now, and the thing about it is that they're actually telling the women that you are the leader now. You don't have to sit there and take mess from the man. It's okay for you to talk to the man as if, he's your child. And like I say, media, social media, is and the thing about it is that social media is picking up that message, and the children of today that are watching these particular programming, they're picking up that message as well, and they are willing to live their lives through this particular type of reality television. And it's doing nothing more than actually making them or increasing their chances of waking up in a cold bed alone. So like I say, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to kind of delve into as far as my response to Black Ram's video. Like I said, I hope that it wasn't too long, but it's just that I actually had so much to say. I really didn't even know where to begin. But like I say, with some things like that, when you actually have so much things to say, you have to kind of sit down and diagram. And I sometimes do that, I'm not ashamed to say, and kind of put into, different aspects and really plot and really plan what you want to say. Because any video that I do, I don't want to just come out and just ramble. I mean, anybody can just ramble. But the issue is that what I do is that I actually wanted to be able to not only talk about the issue, but I actually wanted to be able to make sense, make logical sense where, where you'll be able to really understand where I'm coming from. Not that I want you to agree with me, because you're an individual and can think and rational and do your own rationale, come up with your own conclusions based on your research. But the issue is that I just felt the need to respond to his video with a video of my own. I hope that I did not upset anybody. If I did, grow up. Okay, you'll get over it, because the only thing about it is that this is my video from life, from my perspective. I'm not saying that it's the right or wrong one, but it's just the way I see things. Okay, so thank you for anybody that's listening to this, and peace out.